Aaron Judge is a better version of Brock Lesnar.
What is something you love as much as the Charmin Bears love wiping?
As an opposing fan, you'd probably see his face and want to sock him between the cracks. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Losses Above Replacement, the greatest baseball podcast, two greatest years. I'm Mathias Altman-Kurosaki, today's host, and I'm with my amazing co-hosts, Alex Clark and Ryan Splash Potts. Gentlemen, first things first, how are we doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
We are doing fantastic, and yeah, always good to have XYZ Ball into the chat. Thank you so much for tuning in, my guy.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'm doing solid. Yesterday's WBC was so much fun to watch. Here, that was, I think I used the term masterclass probably about 30 different times for pitching-wise. Here, that was absolutely brilliant. Here, I don't know. We're going to talk about it a lot more here, but I got to tell you, that was a game that just makes you feel things because it was a powerful game on both sides.
Yeah, shout out to Ronald Acuna, my goat, my Pookie Bear, my World Baseball Classic champion. But otherwise, I'm just in the doldrums. All of a sudden, I'm sick or I'm losing my voice, so I won't be a main character today, just a side piece.
Yeah, I'm a bit jet lagged. Got back from Japan on Sunday night. I will say I'm adjusting a little quicker than I expected. I adjusted really quickly, actually, when I went there. Maybe it's because we got there very early Saturday morning, like around 5 a.m. After customs and all that, we got to our house about 8, I'd like to say. And because I stayed awake and didn't nap, I went to bed a bit after 9 and I slept for about 10 and a half hours, which I don't think I've done that probably since I finished grad school. And I was basically fine with the time change after that. So that was nice. The house is, this is the first time I've been there since we renovated. And I'll say it's like night and day, except for some reason, the entrance, like the little hallway where you enter, is freezing cold. It's colder colder in the house than outside, which is kind of wild because it's also not particularly warm this time of year in Japan. But other than that, I mean, the trip was great. It was nice to, see some family friends who I haven't seen, who I don't get to see very often anymore. Met some people who worked with my grandmother back, a few years ago. It was a good trip. Got to explore my neighborhood a little more, which when my brother was my grandmother's caretaker back during the pandemic, he did a whole lot of exploring. So we went to some of the places he discovered. It was a good time. Watched a lot of baseball. The craze for baseball is unreal in that country. Let's just say that much. So there's a local bar that normally is closed on Sundays, but this time around they were open both Sundays I was there, including early in the morning for the game against Venezuela, which I know they did lose, but it was still it was still crazy to see how excited the country was about that tournament. They take it really seriously over there, and I'm glad they do.
I mean, they're the only country to win it multiple times now.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, they've won it 3 times.
Yeah,
so
they've won it 3. We have Dominican,
1.
U.S., and now Venezuela winning it once.
Yeah. So, and let's get into talking about that. That was I mean, the tournament as a whole, I had a great time watching it, but yesterday's game really was the it really was the capper, it felt like, on what was just an amazing tournament. So just give me your quick reactions to that finale. I mean, it's a dramatic 1-run game, came down to the last inning. What were your thoughts?
It was beautiful. Legitimately, that was one of the most I'm going to sound very poetic for a second, or waxing poetic at least here. It felt like it was art. the entire game felt like it was a poem that was being told. And watching how well executed basically everything was here, especially on the pitching side of things. Like, it's funny, you take a look at the box score and you're like, this is a really boring, dull game. There's not much offense here. The pitching was okay here. The fact that 2 people accounted for all of the United States hits here. Fun times there. But as you watch this game, it felt like these 2 juggernauts that were just going head to head, bashing into each other over. It felt like the idea of the what was it? The immovable object versus the insurmountable force. Here, I think something like that. That's what it felt like the entire game. How well is this Venezuelan pitching going to hold out? Because even though the offense for the U.S. has been really weak over the course of the tournament, you see these players. When you have a lineup that includes players like Aaron Judge, Will Smith, Cal Raleigh, Kyle Schwarber, all these guys here, you just have to wonder, when are they going to break up? Because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Although, to be fair, this time it did turn out to be that matter of if until the 8th inning, which this is a bit of a hot take here on this. Mark DeRosa, yes, I understand, was honestly terrible throughout the WBC, personally. But the decision to pitch to Bryce Harper in that situation, I think, or at least to keep in Machado to pitch to Harper was a mistake, I think. Because on top of it, one of the things a little bit peeling back the curtain, I was with family, they asked me to do play-by-play of the game just for a little bit of practice. And I'm like, you know what? That sounds awesome. Let's do it. When I was doing note research taking for it, they had like 6 or 7 lefties all available, ready to go. Like, I understand that, like, you know, Harper is good against left-handed pitching too, but he's also good against right-handed pitching. And now Andres Machado had already been pitching now for a full inning at this point. Why not go to the fresh guy in a very big scenario? I understand he has not been amazing, but in a win or go home championship game, you have to pull out all the stops here. And that was a decision that I think very well could have lost the game for Venezuela. And then in the top of the ninth, they made the best decision, which was somehow Luis Reyes walked and then pinch ran here with Sanoya, who then came up with an incredibly clutch stolen base, leading then to Eugenio Suarez, my absolute GOAT, my legend, my hero, my good vibes man himself, hitting a double into left center field for what would be the game-winning run. And I mean, look, even as an unbiased broadcaster, I think I screamed at that point because that was such a monumental clutch hit. It was fantastic. And then Danny Palencia coming in and finishing the job in what I think he only threw like 12 pitches, maybe, if that. Like, looks like he threw 11. Okay. Yeah. And getting 2 strikeouts. Like, what more do you need from the guy? The guy was absolutely electric. He shoved all WBC long. And the fact that he pitched in the game in the day beforehand and was still pumping in 99 here, like, I don't understand why, watching this game specifically, why there was talk that Venezuela may have not had it, or maybe that there's a reason why they were a runner-up in the pod. Here, they played out of their minds here and have been playing with this kind of, I'm going to say the word urgency. They played with an urgency this game and every game that I've watched them. They played like a complete unit that was having fun. They had fun. The good vibes were there, and the good vibes carried immediately after here, as, again, that celebration they had was magnificent to watch.
Yeah, and I want to actually go back to the 8th inning for a moment. The issue was throwing a changeup to Bryce Harper. Harper's really struggled with high velocity both in this tournament and early on in spring training. Just throw 97. And if you're going to throw a changeup, don't throw it middle. I'm sorry. So just Venezuela, a really gritty performance. They came into the tournament and they were plus 900 to win. They were sort of fourth favorites behind the U.S., Japan, and the Dominican, and they showed up. Their pitching was excellent. Palencia was excellent. Just the Cubs closer, just phenomenal. Pumping in strikes, pumping in 99, pumping in 100. And he's doing that in mid-March. So imagine what he's going to do in April, May, June, September, October even. So just a stellar all-around performance. And it's really a top-to-bottom lineup that was terrific. And you had Contreras brothers sitting on the bench. Like, it's a really deep lineup. You go 1-2 with Cousins, Ronald, Acuna, and Michael Garcia. That is so cool. And just Luis Ariz hit for power. Believe it or not,
Eugenio Something Suarez. That I don't think anybody expected going to this tournament.
Yeah, Luis Ariz comes in, Eugenio Suarez comes in behind him, drives in Javier Sanoa, and just a well-rounded performance top to bottom. And for a team that lacked pitching, they started Eduardo Rodriguez. Even with Nolan McLean on the mound, I would have given the nod to McLean in that scenario, even as a Mets hater. But Eduardo shoved. The Venezuelans shoved largely, although Ranger kind of let it go a little bit against Japan. But the relievers came in, shut the door against Japan, and they delivered a big comeback win over Italy, and then delivered a win over the United States. So congratulations, Venezuela.
Yeah, and the bullpen really all tournament long was just fantastic for Venezuela. They were asked a lot, especially against Italy. Where starter Keter Montero gets knocked out early in the second inning, and they didn't allow a run for the rest of the game. That's over 7 innings of scoreless ball. And then to go back out there, I mean, other than that one bad pitch by Andres Machado, they were great. And Daniel Palencia was only available in a save situation, and he made the most of that. I mean, he blew away Kyle Schwarber, got that pop up to Gunnar Henderson, and then blew away Roman Anthony with triple digits. It just looked like he was overpowering the U.S. offense, and really, obviously, everyone's been quibbling with what Mark DeRosa was doing, and one of them I was going to bring up was not bringing Mason Miller for the 9th inning, but it turns out Mason Miller was also only available in a save situation, which was a little confusing to me. You let your guy go to the World Baseball Classic. You figured you would let them pitch in the championship game. I understand why David Bednar wasn't available. He's had to do heavy work. Felt like he kept getting into jams, so it would add on to his pitch count. But the other decision I was wondering about was when Will Smith batted as the tying run in the 7th inning. You could have done one of two things. It's a righty on righty matchup. You could have had Cal Raleigh pinch hit there. I know Cal did not have a great tournament. He struggled. He went 0 for 9, but he did hit 60 home runs last year. Just throwing that out there. You could have had him pinch hit, and who knows what could have happened there. Or you could have had Gunnar Henderson pinch hit, put him at third base since he was going to come into the game anyway, and then put Cal behind the plate. The deciding run basically was scored after Sanoha stole second base. And the thing is, Sanoha didn't have a great jump there. A good throw gets him by plenty. I think Cal probably makes that throw and gets him. He has the better arm. So I do question that decision making, but I think Venezuela really earned it. They played with more juice. Look, like the whole tournament, it just felt like they were having more fun out there from start to finish. They were not favored at any point really in the tournament, other than maybe the game against Italy. They were not favored to beat Japan or the DR. Obviously, they didn't beat the DR, but they were the only team until the U.S. beat them that gave the DR any resistance. They upset Japan, which was huge. You take out the defending champions. That home run by Willie Abreu is probably the biggest swing of the tournament. I mean, I think it's safe to say that was insane. Even as someone who's Japanese, I had to just admire that. It was amazing. Honestly, the guy I'm happiest for though is Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
He played in every single World Baseball Classic for Venezuela, never got over the top. This year on the coaching staff, finally gets over the top, gets a win. Also, shout out to Johan Santana. He was the pitching coach this year. So yeah, I don't know. Top to bottom, I thought Venezuela deserved it more. It seemed like they wanted it more. I think, yeah, I mean, I'm really, really happy for them. They truly deserve it.
Absolutely. This was an incredible game, and XYZ Ball and chime me in. That's San Francisco Giant Luis Reyes. So fun times, Again, I like Luis. I like Reyes. We've talked about this before. But I want to kind of bring up here as well that this game felt very, what's the word I'm looking for on this? I'm actually going to start over on this. Venezuela played with more heart in this game. They have been playing with more heart over the course of the entire tournament, where they have been pulling out gutsy win after gutsy win after gutsy win here, and they were the underdogs. I don't think anyone would say that here, but I do need to bring up a couple things here with it. In order to be a winning underdog, you have to go and find something that people don't see. You have to find something that makes people work. And I'm going to bring up here Eduardo Rodriguez. Eduardo Rodriguez put together an incredible start, especially considering the circumstances on everything with this. And there was a name that kept popping into my head as I watched him pitch. CC Sabathia. This looked like Yankees CC Sabathia here. Again, a lefty, not a whole ton of velo anymore, and incredible move, incredible execution here to where he was setting down these hitters with an almost like surgeon-like precision. Again, when you get multiple strikeouts here that are on pitches that are not in the zone, which again, you may say, oh, that's a bad umpire. No, that's a good pitcher a lot of the time, because people don't like to think this way, but a good pitcher is able to understand where the zone is, and it may not always be the line that is that you see here on the score sheet here, unless actually that you see in the graphics until ABS happens. But even then, you get a very limited amount of ABS like challenges. What isn't limited as much is the zone that the umpire is using. And if you can find that zone and you can manipulate it here, that is a powerful thing to do. I know you're bringing up this much. This was a bad one. I'm not going to defend this in any way, shape, or form here. I know, Splash, you bring this up just to spite me. I understand this here. But
I'll say that, obviously I am Japanese American. I was, it's still, for the most part, you're rooting for the U.S. here, but it was a great game, and it just kind of hurt to see that game end like that. I'm not going to guarantee that, Fernando Tatis comes up and wins the game or ties the game for the DER, but he would at least get a chance to do it. Also, Perdomo worked a great at bat there, and it was kind of just ripped away from him. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I had a great time watching this whole tournament. I didn't really get to watch a ton of complete games because they're normally going on in the morning for me, except for the games that were going on in Tokyo and they were happening in the evening. But it was just it was a great tournament. I think it proves to people that this is worth watching. And I hope the Olympics, they let major leaguers play. And whenever the next World Baseball Classic happens, I hope we get great participation like we did this year. And yeah, I mean, it was a great tournament. So any other final thoughts on this?
I love the WBC. I've said this before.
Same, yeah.
I'll say it again. It is one of the most fun concepts for a baseball tournament here. And the fact that, again, it started with 20 countries in this tournament, and Venezuela was the last one standing. And I think legitimately you take the odds makers, right? The three teams that they thought were the highest odds to win the tournament were USA, Japan, and Dominican Republic. Fourth would probably be Venezuela. And Venezuela came forward and shocked the world That was an absolutely amazing performance here. They pulled out what they needed to. And what was so interesting on top of it here is that there was no like one moment for Venezuela that it felt like they needed a miracle to win it here. They just won by outplaying the Team USA here. Like, again, remember, this game was a bloop and a blast to tie the game for about 60% of it here. And proven, again, by the 8th inning, where the 2-run home run by Harper ties it back up. And then they don't even get, like, the bases loaded grand slam home run here in the inning. No, they get a walk. It's like guy steals second base and then manufacture a run with a double into the gap. Like, that's baseball. That is great baseball right there. And I think the best way to say it is that it is gritty baseball. It's not the flashy, the home run, hitting the ball 5,000, 2,000 feet. It was it was them making runs happen. Here, it was them going forward and making it work. That's the biggest thing I think to take away from this. They made it work, whereas the USA lineup really didn't. They had 2 guys get hits in this game, and both of them were named Bryce.
Yeah.
One thing, Italy wins the next World Baseball Classic with Chase Burns on the mound.
That would be amazing.
By the way, the Italians were awesome.
Yes. Oh God,
dude,
they were.
I had so much fun watching them. I really vibed with them. Shout out Francisco Cervelli. He's a great skipper, actually.
Solid, yeah. Also, shout out Vinny Pasquantino for being the most vibes guy in baseball, right next to Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah, no, Vinny's awesome. He was the right captain for that team. I don't know. The Italians, they were. I know they're kind of like the USA JV squad because like 90% of them were born in the US, but like,
yeah,
I mean, that's the thing is a lot of them probably could make the US national team. It's just like, they're representing Italy, and I thought they did a great job doing so. I mean, maybe this becomes I think it'll become a more popular sport out there now.
I hope so.
So yeah, that was great. Also, I do want to shout out Noel McLean. He bounced back from a rough outing. And he kept the U.S. in the game. He did about as much as you could ask for. So anyway, let's move forward. Before we get into our final position rankings of the offseason, Splash has the question of the day.
Ooh, it's question of the day time. Yeah.
We're going to talk about another Venezuelan, Ranger Suarez, a.k.a. Ron Hare Suarez, I guess. Ranger versus the Rangers. How many Rangers pitchers have more WAR this season than Ron Hare Suarez?
This season?
I'll go with. I'm going to go with 2.
I'm going with 1.
I'm going DeGrom and Eovaldi.
Yeah, I'm going just DeGrom.
No love for Mackenzie Gore?
No. I mean, Mackenzie Gore I think is good. I just don't know if he'll have the volume for it.
I don't think he's going to be able to beat out Ranger Suarez here. I think Eovaldi is very good here, but I have questions about consistency with him. And then when it comes to DeGrom, my question with him is, can he continue staying healthy? Because I'm happy to see that he was healthy last year because we finally got to see a good season of DeGrom again. But although some of it was against Seattle, so I didn't enjoy that part of it. But which team made the ALCS anyway? Fun times there. I still think DeGrom's the only one that eclipses Suarez on that, though.
All right. So now let's get into those position rankings, and we're closing things out with the relievers. How fitting. Mm-hmm. I think this is probably the hardest position group to rank. There are like 1,000 different relievers, and as great as relievers are, they're also super volatile.
Yeah.
So results can vary greatly from year to year. I think we're all familiar with that concept.
I think we're also all familiar with the fact that I think all of our guy that was in our top 3 is not even mentioned anymore here this year.
Yeah. So why. Yeah, I mean, we want to address the elephant in the room here. My number 1 closer last year is no longer playing baseball.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he ever will again. So
probably not.
Yeah. So anyway, I say we dive right in. Let's go to Splash here. Kick us off to your number 5 reliever.
All right, fellas, I'll keep it brief. Number 5, I have Cade Smith of the Guardians
Nice.
stepping in for betting man. Just locked down, strikes everybody out, just doesn't allow much hard contact. He's exactly what you want in a reliever. The only thing the guys ahead of him have are a little bit more longevity. Outside of maybe the best reliever in baseball, 2, 3, 4 are way up there on the saves list. I know saves have some meaning, some lack of meaning, but I think Cade Smith is going to follow in Emmanuel Clase's footsteps and hopefully not gamble on baseball.
We can only
I certainly hope not.
Absolutely. I'll go into my number 5 then next.
Right.
Here. So first, I have a couple honorable mentions. Cade Smith is not on my list. He was the first guy that was omitted off here. Like, he's number 6. Abner Uribe, I think is fun. Devin Williams is also one of those guys that is just, when he's on, he's one of the best out there. But my number 5, I put Andres Munoz. I love me Andres Munoz, and he has proven now. He broke one of the Mariner curses of being a great closer that does amazing one year and then falls off the face of the planet the next here. So now we finally have seen a actually amazing Andres Munoz and a great closer here that Seattle's going to continue to have for a while. His fastball velocity is strong. The slider is arguably now his best pitch. Here, the sinker that he throws in there just to mess with timing a little bit, it's been strong. And even the kick change, whenever he does decide to throw it, which is a grand total of once every 2,000 pitches, has also been very, very effective. He's on a team now also that is contending, and I don't feel I've been part of a lot of Mariner teams that have a closer that is very rocky, and when I see them come out from the bullpen, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Fernando Rodney, how are you doing? Brandon League, how you doing? But Andres Munoz, I don't feel that. When he comes in, I'm like, all right, it's go time. Let's see it happen here. So he's also just a great guy too. Look, I want no disrespect at my homeboy Ryan Walker. Go Cougs, by the way. So fun story for you, because I don't think you know me almost at all here. I went to school at Washington State University. I called doing play-by-play of Ryan Walker back when he was in college too. So I watched him back then. He was fun. Anyway, back to this. Munoz, honestly, he has the potential to be at the top of the list. He does. Do I think he will? Probably not. I do think he has potential to at least be top 3. But you guys say that this was a hard list to make. I made mine pretty easily. There was a number of guys that really stood out to me, and it was just about kind of ordering a few of them, at least from on my end of things.
Yeah, so I don't know. There were so many great relievers last year or the last few years that I had to make some tough omissions. Garrett Whitlock, not on my list. Brian Abreu, not on my list. Josh Hader, not on my list. And I think Andres Munoz was my first guy off. I wanted so badly to put him in my top 5. He is one of my favorite pitchers to watch in all of baseball. It feels like every time
was the right decision.
it feels like every time he's in a game, I have to turn the TV on. Yeah. But I had to leave him off for these other guys. Starting at number 5, and I feel like I might be the low man on this guy, honestly. It's Aroldis Chapman. This guy just completely surprised me. Talk about finding the fountain of youth. 1.1 ERA. All of a sudden, his walk rate was the lowest of his career at 6.6. His strikeout rate was still 37%. He was still sitting high 90s, if not better, with his fastball. It felt like he remade his arsenal, started throwing a splitter a little more, in addition to his slider. At the age of 37, I did not expect this in the slightest. You look at his StatCast page, as Splash has up right now, it's a whole lot of red. Aroldis Chapman, I thought that we had seen the best of his career already, and honestly, that could be considered his best season. I don't think it actually was, but I mean, he was just simply fantastic. 0.7 whip. I mean, where did this come from? Is it really just from Connor Wong telling him to aim his pitches a little more? But yeah, I mean, Chapman, I think over the years, as he's lost velocity, has become more of a pitcher compared to a thrower. And yeah, no, he completely dominated last year. The only reason I don't have him any higher is he's entering his age 38 season. And like I said, relievers can be really volatile. Who knows if all of a sudden age catches up to him and he's awful. But I still think he's going to be plenty effective. I don't know if he's going to be a 1-1 ERA guy this coming year, but really, I'm just amazed. Like I said, I thought his career was heading towards the exit, but we're looking at a guy who by the end of this year could have 400 saves. And we're going to have a tough conversation when it comes to the end of his career, whether or not he'll end up in Cooperstown. So he's my number 5. And why don't we roll into my number 4? At number 4, it pains me to say he's on the Philadelphia Phillies. It is Yohan Duran. Duran, I mean, good for him. He got to a contending team, and he was great. I know he had a bit of a blunder in the NLDS when he walked Mookie Betts with the bases loaded. But other than that, I mean, really, it was a great season for him. 2.06 ERA. It's a big bounce back season, I thought, from kind of a disappointing year in 2024. 2.51 expected ERA. His strikeout rate did go down a little bit, especially for a guy who throws 100 miles per hour with a ridiculous splitter and slider combo and curveball. But overall, it was a great year for him. I think the Phillies found their guy. It felt like they had this sort of revolving door at the closer position. And now they have a dude they can constantly rely on in the 9th inning that comes in with a crazy light show. But yeah, overall, it still struck out 10 batters per 9. Like I said, averaged 100.6 on his fastball. 2.1 F4. He's still projected to be pretty high this year. And he's only 28 years old. So we probably haven't even seen the best of Yohan Duran. The Phillies have this guy for a couple more years, and they got a great one. I'm honestly not looking forward to facing him all the time. But yeah, Yohan Duran's my number 4.
Yeah, and Splash, you might as well keep that graphic up that you just had there of the pitch, because I'm also having Yohan Duran at number 4. And I'm not going to add too much more to what you say, because you said everything that I really wanted to say with this. The main thing I want to bring up here is that the only reason why he is not higher is because he has I don't know if I really want to use this term, but I will. He has Raisel Iglesias syndrome. When he is on, he is the best pitcher in the game. When he is not, he is Swiss cheese. And that is kind of the problem here with him, is that legitimately, when he is on, he is one of the best. The splinker that he throws, incredible. The fastball he throws, incredible. The curveball, the 12-6 he throws. There's a reason why this guy has won the most unfair at-bat award before, from Pitching Ninja. It is, again, watching him pitch is incredible to see, because when you watch him and he is on, it legitimately looks like a, what's the term here? A practice in futility from the hitters. It just doesn't even look fair. But the problem is keeping it there. When he is, as the biggest thing I have with him is that he gets a little trouble sometimes with command, and he has trouble at times as well with pinpoint precision. Which, I mean, honestly, for a hard thrower, you can say that about a lot of them. Here, the problem is when he starts to lose that confidence, the ball gets hit a lot more. Here, so he's still good enough that even when he is not at 100%, he's still one of the best closers in the game. Here, but the only thing that's holding him down more on this list is basically just being a bit streaky at times here. You don't know which Duran you're going to get when he comes in. You hope, as the Phillies would, that you're going to get A-level Duran. But sometimes you might get C level. Sometimes you might get B level. And Lord forbid, hopefully you don't get the F level. That is the main thing you have to worry about with him. If you have him at his top point, he's an easy number 1. Legitimately, his pitches, if you watch the movement on any of his pitches, it does not look fair. It looks like something straight out of a video game. It's just about being able to do that consistently. And that's my only issue with him. Even then, he's still in the top 5. He is still that good. It's number 4 for me.
Yeah, very easy. Yonderon's my number 4. My tagline: how does anyone hit this guy? I don't know. If you were grading just pitches, he is probably the best arsenal among closers. I don't know how anyone hits him. It's the splinter's crazy, the fastball's crazy. It gets tons of ground balls. So, yeah. All right, I'll go into my number 3. The Cuban Missile. He's back. He's better than ever, aiming pitches and striking guys out. Mac talked about Chapman a lot, so I won't belabor the point, but he was excellent. I hope he's excellent again. I want to see a nice Hall of Fame conversation, and he's going to be integral if Boston wants to get back to the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'll go to my number 3 because I also have Chapman at number 3. And I'm not going to harp too much more either, but I want to bring up a couple things. One, it's crazy to think about that a 37-year-old pitcher learned to aim. Like, you would think that was just kind of what you should have started with there, buddy. But no, just always had the stuff to make it work. But no, legitimately, the only reason why he is right where he's at on my list is the age. He's going to an age 38 season. If you watched him last year, you would have and you looked at just the metrics, you would have thought this guy was in his mid-late 20s. Like, this dude was on fire. He was on point. I just wonder, because we have seen this happen with Chapman before. We have seen him be absolutely dominant, fall off the planet. Dominant, fall off the planet. Dominant, fall off the planet. And we just had the dominant. Is he going to stay relevant? I think he will this time, because he's learned to aim. He's not just throwing the baseball anymore, trying to hit the glove. He is like, say, okay, I want to put the baseball right about here. And then is able to do that with a pretty good level of execution now. So do I expect he's still going to be throwing 100 plus at 38? If there's anyone who could, it'd be him. Because, I mean, we don't have Satchel Paige around anymore to do that when he's 60. So, hey, you know what? Let Chapman do it.
Yeah, so I'll go to my number 3, and I have Cade Smith at number 3, and honestly, I heavily considered putting him higher. This dude, second year in a row, he was, he kind of had a pedestrian first half, but he really locked in the second half, especially after he became the closer, saved 13 games over the last 2 months in 16 opportunities. He is one of the best fastballs in the game, by the way. He had a plus 16 run value last year. Plus 24 in 2024. That was his rookie year, but it's crazy. He had a 2.93 ERA, but he had a 1.95 FIP, 2.51 expected ERA, and 2.65 expected FIP. So across the board, he underperformed his ERA. By the way, he was also the league leader in FWAR amongst relievers. I know WAR is kind of weird with pitchers, especially relievers, but I think he proved that he is a reliable arm. He was great as a rookie, and he backed it up with a great sophomore season. He's going to be the closer going forward for this Cleveland team, and I really think we're just seeing the best. I think that the best is yet to come for this guy. His strikeout rate went up, his strikeouts per 9 went up. His overall strikeout rate was actually slightly down. His walk rate was a little up, but like I said, he looked a little pedestrian in the first half. He looked like, typical Cade Smith in the second half. So really, I'm really impressed with this guy. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to watching him be the closer full time going into the season. Hopefully he doesn't end up like the last Cleveland closer. But anyway, let's roll in.
That's really funny to think about how now that all Cade Smith needed to showcase what he could do was Emmanuel Clase to start gambling. That's the difference that is now showing his career. So now he should be saying a thank you in chips to Clase for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I mean, really, you look at his numbers though, but yeah, he really was at his best after Clase got suspended, which that's terrible to say, but it's the truth. His best work came when he became the closer. Now he gets to be the closer this year. I'm expecting him to contend for that reliever of the year award. So anyway, we all have the same 1 and 2, it appears.
Yeah.
I just do not know what order they are in. So let's go to Alex here first.
All right.
Who do you have at number 2?
So my number 2, again, I really struggled between these two, who to put at number 1. Do I want to go with the guy that has been doing this longer and is more consistent for it, or the one that has the better stuff overall? And I ended up going with the guy that has the better stuff. Edwin Diaz is my number 2, and Mason Miller my number 1. Now, I love Edwin Diaz. I love Sugar Diaz here. Good. Made his name with the Mariners and now is on the Dodgers. I love him so much. He is such a good pitcher. He is so much fun to watch. Mr. Trumpet doot doot. But I don't have a knock against him. I really don't. There's sometimes where we have seen that he has just fallen, like completely off the face of the planet. I mean, I remember we had a conversation years ago on text talking about when he was in his real downward spiral that, hey, we'll trade him back to you guys for like a McDonald's gift card or something. But now he is one of the best, if not arguably the best closer in the game here. You take a look at what he has, that fastball slider two-seam combination he has is just insane. And to borrow a phrase from the kids, he has that aura of a great closer. When he comes in and you hear Narcos playing, that is as close to like hearing the Undertaker's gong as you get nowadays. Here, just being like, if you see him, it's already too late. Here. And again, you take a look at the StatCast that was just brought up here on this as well. The velo has been good. It's not amazing. He's not thrown in the hundreds as much anymore. But he's still very good about getting weak contact off of hitters. He's good about eliminating any real kind of threat. He is a fantastic closing pitcher. The difference is we look at Mason Miller right now. Mason Miller is on another plane at the moment. The fact that he can throw these fastballs in at 101, 102 consistently with a slider that, mind you, remember last year, got an immaculate inning. He got an immaculate inning just throwing sliders. Like, that's kind of insane to think about. Like, watch this highlighting right here. That velocity is the best in baseball on average, 101. He has the best breaking run value here with that slider of his. This comes down to, again, do you trust the guy that's been doing it longer or the one that has the better stuff in general? And you can't go wrong either way. Legitimately, if you see either of these guys coming in from the bullpen, here, you'd feel like, oh, crap, here we go again. That's what you're feeling like. And it makes it even harder when you have a bad strike 3 call that ends a very good baseball game here. That's about two ball lengths down out of the zone. That's now you have to worry about that pitch as well, apparently, now being a strike 3 call. So, hey, Mason Miller is, we were talking a while ago about should he be traded at all by the Athletics here because his value is either too great or not as, like, it's too great to be traded. I think we're starting to see just how good this guy is. Like, for a little bit, he was an unproven commodity. Now he's the best. He's the best in the game, and it's not it is a question, mind you, but it's a lot easier question to answer than a lot of the other ones now. Again, we're seeing right now some of the pitching ninja, like a pitching ninja video of some of the last strikeouts that he's had, and it's not fair. When you see a fastball coming in at 101, 102, 103, and then you see like a slider coming in at 89, that is the definition of whiplash. Like, you basically have to sit on one and hope you're right. That's how you even get a hit off of Mason Miller.
Yeah. So I have the same 1 and 2. Just going to get straight to the cut there. Edwin Diaz is my number 2. God, it hurts my soul that he's on the Dodgers now.
Same.
I had a weird feeling that he probably was on his way out the door. I thought it was a slightly higher chance than Pete Alonso that he would stay, but I knew there was a very realistic chance he'd be gone. He was great last year, bounce back year. Really, here's the thing: is that he wasn't even that bad in 2024. He had a couple of bad outings that really just wrecked him early in the season. This year, he was kind of shaky in April. That's the thing. And then there was a game against the Phillies where he came out of the game with some type of injury, and it turns out he just needed to get adjusted. One of his legs was longer than the other, and he needed an adjustment, and he was basically unhittable the rest of the year. And I know there are some yellow flags, I guess we could say, that his stuff has declined a little bit. He's not throwing triple digits all the time anymore, but he's still excellent. He's learned how to pitch even with his velocity dipping a bit. His sliders become much better, and we talked about it with Chapman. Again, this is a guy we're going to have a conversation, I think, about when it comes to the Hall of Fame. He's already at 253 saves, and he's only 32. So realistically, by the end of this contract with the Dodgers, we're looking at a guy who probably will have between 300 and 350 saves in his mid-30s. Like I said, it's painful that he signed with the Dodgers. Unfortunately, that has sort of soured some things with Mets fans. I'm not saying it is a Kevin Durant situation, but it felt like, a stab to the chest when he signed with the Dodgers. But, it was obviously he was excellent this year. I think he won a lot of Mets fans back over during the season. Obviously, he's kind of lost a lot of them by now. But, I mean, really, I think Diaz is excellent. I considered him for my number one. But Mason Miller, I mean, what more can I say? What more can I say that hasn't already been said? It's that 101 mile per hour fastball mixed with that ridiculous slider, whatever the heck it is. It's crazy because his fastball run value was only +1 this year, but his slider run value was +16. The whiff rate on his slider this year was 54.6%. That is bananas. Like I said, when you have a slider like that coupled with a fastball that averages 101, I don't know how anyone hits you. You look at what he did this season from the surface numbers. He was kind of pedestrian with the A's to start the year, but that was mainly because he had a couple of bad outings early in the season. He had a 3.70 ERA, 20 saves in West Sacramento. What he did with the Padres after that trade was unheard of. He allowed 2 earned runs in 23 and a third innings. He faced 83 batters and struck out 45 of them. I'll say that again. He faced 83 batters after getting traded to the Padres, and he struck out 45 of them. That is a 54.2% strikeout rate. I understand his walk rate did go up this year. I could accept that. He had a 44% strikeout rate for the season. He struck out 4 out of every 9 batters he faced. I mean, I don't know what else to say about him. I know that the surface numbers might not be as great as Diaz's, but the underlying numbers are certainly up there. This dude is just downright nasty. I can't believe he wasn't the Padres closer also. They had Robert Suarez remain as the closer last year, which, look, Robert Suarez was great last year. I think Mason Miller being the closer this year, the Padres bullpen is still great. And honestly, I think I trust Miller more to be their closer now. I'm really, really curious to see what he does with a full season being the closer in San Diego. So, I mean, yes, to your point, Splash. Suarez, it's gonna be weird seeing Suarez be a setup man. I mean, look, I think Suarez and Iglesias are 2 very good relievers. So, Mason Miller and Edwin Diaz are 1 and 2 for all of us across the board. So, you can let us know at LAR_baseball on Twitter and Instagram. Who are your top 5 relievers? Maybe you disagree with us for some reason. Maybe you think
just
that
really like Gabe Spire, man.
I mean,
you really like Edward Bizardo.
I was gonna say maybe you think that Edward Bizardo is number 1. Maybe you think maybe you think Luke Weaver's number 1, or Luis Garcia, or I don't know. I'm just
Luis
thinking of
Torrens
random-
is number one, obviously.
Who?
Luis Torrens.
Oh yeah, Luis Torrens or Darren Ruff or
Yeah.
I mean, who knows who you think your number one reliever is? But yeah, let us know. Let us know on YouTube too. Drop a comment. We are live right now. Maybe tell us right now in the comment section, and we'll display it on the screen. But anyways, it is time for everyone's favorite segment of every week. It is time for trivia, and Splash has something prepared for us. So take it away.
Hi, fellas. I'm going to try my best here. In the theme of March Madness, we're going to do some rounds. The first round, there will be 64 applicable players. The second round, there will be 32, so on and so forth. However, your goal is to get the closest to the bottom without being out of the group. So, to use the NCAA tournament, 68 teams, Duke's the 1 seed. You don't want to get Duke. You'll get a point, but you don't want to get Duke. You want to get High Point. They're like a 14. You want to get Howard. They're a 16. Prairie View A&M. They're a 16. Do we understand?
Yes.
We are trying to get as close to the bottom of the list while staying on the list as possible.
All right, sounds good.
All right. We will begin. In 2025, there were 64 players who had at least 620 plate appearances. Please name one of them. You get a point for how low they are in the list.
Oh, man.
That had at least 620 plate appearances.
620. That's a
pretty big number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I have to think of guys who played like maybe 150 games, like as opposed to all 162.
And if you miss one, you will be out, but you can, if you score enough points, you can still win.
Yeah. Ooh, man.
I have a name I'm thinking of here, but yeah, okay. I've got an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Here. So I don't know who.
Just go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
I'm gonna go with my good vibes boy, Eugenio Suarez.
Damn, that was gonna be my guess.
Let's go!
All right, Eugenio Suarez was 35th.
Nice, right there, kind of middle, I guess.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna take a risk here, but I'm gonna go with his Team Venezuela teammate, Michael Garcia.
Michael Garcia was number 29.
Ah.
Okay, so I did just a little bit better on that one.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm guessing we're moving on to a different category, right?
Yes, we are going to.
Okay, I just have to ask because this is the other name that came into my head. Is Jose Caballero on that list?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
That was the first thing that came to my. What's up?
Yeah, his playing time dwindled.
Oof, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
All right. Your next round. There were 32 players who had 90 runs scored. Alex, you must go first because you have the most points.
Okay, so at least 90 runs scored.
90 runs scored, 90 times doing the Alec Boehm, actually doing the inverse of Alec Boehm and touching home plate.
Okay.
Alec Boehm still has not touched home plate.
That was Matt Holliday.
That's true. Alec Boehm, not a correct answer today.
Darn. Okay. I'm also, do I want to try and take one that I know is like very safe, or do I try to go for a little bit of a different way on that? I think I'm going to go with a pretty safe answer here. I'm just going to say Aaron Judge.
All right, Aaron Judge will net you 2 points.
I was going to say he was either first or second for sure.
No, I knew he was, but I also didn't want to take a zero. Was my main thing.
Right. Alex or Mac, your turn.
Okay, now I got to do some thinking. I'm going to go with Pete Alonso.
All right, the polar bear, Mr. Oriole, polar bear Pete. We have a winner, Alex. Congratulations. What? Pete Alonso had 87 runs scored.
Oh my God.
He's
that
tied for
is
38.
What batting cleanup will do. Batting cleanup on the 2025 Mets. That's what will happen.
Real. All right. Some rapid fire. The Sweet 16. Name a player with 35 doubles last season.
Ooh.
So it's top 16, you said?
Yes, 35 doubles.
35 doubles. Okay.
Doubles are a tough category.
Yeah, doubles are a very odd category to have here. I'm also just trying to think of like high batting average guys or decent slugging. Let's go with Julio Rodriguez. I think he had 35 doubles.
Sir?
Did he?
Sounds more like it probably is it if
He had 31.
Oh, I missed
No,
by
all right.
4.
Mac?
I'm gonna go with the guy that I know definitely hit over 35 in 2024. I'm gonna go with Bobby Witt Jr.
Bobby Witt Jr. led the majors 47.
Okay, so you got 1 point.
I only got 1 point.
So
Yeah.
I'm still ahead by a few points.
Oh, well, yeah, Alex, you've won. I'm just finishing out for the sake of finishing.
Yeah.
8 players had 38 home runs. Name one.
8 players had 38 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna take the easy one here. And I'll say Cal Raleigh because I won already. So
That's correct. Mac?
Pete Alonso.
Yep, he would be number 8.
Yeah, I knew
Right.
that.
Your top 4. Name one of the 4 players who was caught stealing at least 10 times.
I honestly have no idea here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go Caballero again.
That is correct. He was tied for second with 11.
O'Neal Cruz.
That would be incorrect. He was very efficient as a base stealer. He was 38 of 43, so only 5
Whoa.
CSs.
Wow.
All right. Name one of 2 players who had 120 walks.
I mean,
Juan Soto.
That is correct. He's number 1.
I'm assuming number 2 then is Aaron Judge.
That is also correct. All right. And then the last round. Name the only player in the majors to have 25 hit by pitches.
What?
He had 27.
Did he actually?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So wait, was I right?
Who did you guess?
I said Ty France.
Oh, no. Ty France was 4th.
Oh.
There's another Randy Rosarena?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
That's right. Oh my
Alex,
god, it was
you
Randy.
cooked
Yeah.
all the way. Good job, buddy.
Let's go. There's a
Wow,
lot of Mariner
Alex kinda
representation on my
destroyed me
list.
there.
Anyway.
Yeah, that was a
that was
demolition.
that was pretty fun, Splash. I would love to do that again sometime.
Yeah.
I am praying to. It won't be next week. I'm praying to every deity known to man. I'm okay for next week because I'm running it back with a classic.
All right, I'm excited for it. Very, very excited for it. All right, but thank you very much for that. All right, Matt.
All right. Yeah, thank you for that, Splash. And now it's time for the moment to ourselves, how we end every show, 60 seconds or so to talk about whatever the heck is on your mind. Does not have to be baseball related. So who here wants to go first?
I'll go first today.
All right, Alex, your time starts in 3, 2, 1, begin.
So I have a couple topics for today. First of which is an update on weight loss and all that. Doing pretty good. I'm now in the low 290s now. So I've been keeping that going here, and it's fun to see that my pants are getting a lot looser. Here, I actually got to. It's like I took a pair of jeans that I was wearing, and I had like this much space I was able to pull it out from. So always love to see that. Second thing to talk about here. I got absurdly lucky the other day, and now I'm just hoping that luck continues here. So, for those of you that know Pokemon trading cards and all that, I went to a pre-release event here for the Perfect Order sets. And I was lucky enough in some of the bonus packs that I got, pulled the SIR Mega Zygarde EX card that just itself raw on eBay was selling for between $250 and $400. But I was looking at it and the centering looked really good, didn't have any damages on it. So I just had it sent off to PSA for grading. If that thing comes back at 10, it'll be worth multiple paychecks of mine. So please, very much please, can that come back as a 10? But I was just so happy to see I haven't pulled anything in a while. I have not pulled anything great So getting that, a good way to lift the spirit.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know people who are like really into the card scenes. So like, obviously, I know that that's like getting if it's graded super highly, that's like pretty sick. So yeah,
Legitimately, the fact it's still weird because like there's not a market on it yet because again the card technically isn't out yet. It was in a pre-release thing, so there's no market yet for graded versions. So by the time that this comes back from PSA, having an actual graded this could be a lot of money that I am very much going to be selling on.
All right, Splash, you put your hand up, so I'll let you go next. All right, your time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
I think I have this take every year, but upsets in March Madness and upsets in general are a little overrated. It dilutes the quality of the tournament moving forward. Yes, it's exciting in the moment to see a 15 beat a 2 seed. Like, yeah, everyone wanted to see Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue or UMBC beat Virginia, but yeah, wouldn't that Virginia team be great in the Sweet 16 instead of a 9 seed? Or wouldn't, instead of, Butler VCU, wouldn't you rather see Butler Kansas back in 2011? I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird like that, but I do think some upsets can be overrated because these teams are great for a reason, and it would be a shame that if Duke or Arizona or Michigan or Sparty or Houston, one of these 1s and 2 seeds, it'd certainly be a shame if UConn lost early. Go Huskies. But I do think upsets, especially those really huge upsets, can be a little overrated and can be damaging to the tournament at large. That a lot of people want to see Duke play basketball. If Duke loses to Lehigh, are we really tuning in to watch Lehigh versus the 7-10 game? I don't know. I don't think the ratings bear that out. So that's my boomer take.
I mean, I think back to 2023, just 3 years ago. There were, if I'm not mistaken, the highest seed in the Final Four was UConn, and they were a 5 seed that year. And look, it was great. The FAU San Diego State game was great.
Mm-hmm.
FDU Purdue was amazing. I had a great time watching it. But it was kind of weird not having a single 1 seed or a 2 seed in the Final Four.
Or look at 2011, also a UConn year that it's UConn versus Kentucky. That's like a traditional like blue blood versus new blood, I would say.
Kind of, yeah.
Fan. And then the other side's Butler versus VCU. And with all due respect to Butler, who is a reigning national finalist, and VCU, who had a terrific run from the first 4 to the Final 4, we could have seen the Morris twins in Kansas in that situation as opposed to VCU. Like, with all due respect to VCU, they had a great run, but I think a more exciting game could have been Pitt versus Kansas that year. And it just, I get it. I love seeing the upset in the moment, but the next game when it's the 16 seed getting pounded, UMBC lost their second game. Only 115 seeds advanced to the Elite Eight. No team below an 8 seed has ever won the tournament. That sort of thing. It just creates like a loser. Like, even the year, like Syracuse made it to the Final Four as a double-digit seed, or LSU made it, George Mason made it. They're just going to lose. Like, that's just, it is what it is. Historically, they lose. That's just kind of unfortunate. At least in the NFL, like 6 seeds have won the Super Bowl. The Steelers won as a wild card. The Packers won as a wild card with the Steelers' current quarterback. It is what it is. But even the Diamondbacks made the World Series as a 6 seed.
I was going to say, in baseball, we had, the 83 win Diamondbacks with a negative run differential make it all the way to the World Series.
Yeah. But I think March Madness can be, like, I love March Madness. It's a great American pastime, but I think sometimes we lose the forest for the trees. Like, yeah, it's cool to see the upset, but you also want to see, like, Duke beat, or Duke versus Arizona. Like, that would be a pretty sick game. Or like Arizona versus UConn. That'd be pretty sick. Or Arizona versus Sparty, or Michigan State. That'd be pretty sick. Or I would not want to watch UConn versus St. John's, but there's probably some people that would want to watch that game.
I mean, as an outsider, I'd be entertained by that.
I would be punching walls.
Yeah, I think a lot of UConn fans feel that way. Anyway, wow, that even reminds me about how UNC was an 8 seed when they knocked out Coach K for the final time, which is crazy because I thought they were way better than an 8 seed. They deserve to be higher, but
I just have the horrible thought that anyone that's going to be watching this with like closed captioning on is going to hear you say UNC and they may just think UNC.
oh
And I
god,
don't want that to be a thing.
brain rot.
Okay,
Off the charts.
I have one little nugget. For the first time in 15 years, there is a team that has never won a tournament game playing a team that has never won a tournament game in the round of 64. Nebraska versus Troy.
Let's go.
Yeah, I didn't realize Nebraska's never won a tournament game.
Yeah, they are the only Power 4 team without a
and that explains it.
Yeah. Northwestern was the other one, but they won one a couple years ago.
Yeah, shout out our old homie Nick Wyman. He's a Nebraska alum, and currently does a lot of work out in Lincoln. So
basketball, baby.
Yeah, they had a great year. Anyway, someone count me down.
Your time begins in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on college basketball because I was away when Syracuse fired Red Autry. First of all, it's the right move. I mean, you look at this, the last few years, Syracuse has gone from being once a proud basketball program to being kind of a laughing stock. This year in particular, I mean, look, they had a great win against Tennessee earlier in the year when they were a top 15 team in the country. Then they lost to Hofstra. Then they go on this winning streak to, they looked like a tournament team. Then all of a sudden you lose to Boston College and you keep losing and you finish under 500 again. This team hadn't had a losing season in like a half century, if not more. Coming into the year that I went to grad school there. And now they've had, if I'm not mistaken, 3 losing seasons in the last 5 years. It was a colossal disappointment. That being said, Red Autry had a great career as a player. He did a lot of great work as a recruiter when he was the assistant for Jim Boeheim. Now they have to find a replacement, and they have a new athletic director who I'm pretty excited about. He did great work at Toledo. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say and what he's going to do. A little disappointed Bryce Hodgson already rejected the job offer. As much as I want Jerry McNamara back in Syracuse, I'm a little nervous that it would end up the same way as Red Autry, where, you get an alum who was a decorated player and a decorated assistant coming back to coach the team, and God forbid it goes poorly, then you end up like Red Autry, where everyone hates you all of a sudden. I think it's a little unfair that Red got thrown into this situation instead of, trying to find an external candidate, instead of trying to run a guy who's trying to run the same old system that got you nowhere. Look, in 2021, this team made the Sweet 16. I think there is talent on this roster, guys like Donnie Freeman, Kyan Anthony, and with the right guy in charge, who does a good job at recruiting, at actually coaching the players, I think this is a team that could get back to being a tournament team regularly. But right now, this is the 5th straight year they are not in the tournament. And I want to see more. The expectation should be greatness, not mediocrity. So yeah, hopefully this once proud institution and proud program can get back to the level they used to be at under the new coach. I'm all ears on who the new head coach will be. But yeah, I can't help but be disappointed with the results over the last few years. And hopefully this is the start of a new era. And they can get back to what they once were.
I don't know much about college basketball. I'll be fully honest with everyone here. So I don't really have anything to speak on that, but I could definitely understand, the feeling of a drought of making it something that should have been, a lot stronger from years gone by.
Yeah, I mean, this is college sports where guys come and go, within 4 years. You can't trade guys. Guys can leave your team, but you can't trade guys.
Imagine if the transfer portal allowed for trading.
Oh my God,
that would be
ridiculous.
insane.
I mean, I would not put it past the NCAA to institute that.
Oh my God. How would that work for any amount of schooling?
It would make no sense. I mean, look, the NCAA has basically become a professional organization. It's kind of ridiculous, but it is college sports. 90% of this, getting your roster, it's all about recruiting. Like, it's just, if you don't know how to recruit, like, what's your team going to be?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. It's crazy, though, because Syracuse only had one walk-on this year. I remember the year I was there was like a whole squad of guys that would come in garbage time as the walk-on squad. I remember this is crazy, but just to show how disappointing that year was, I think the most hype I heard the Dome get all basketball season was when at the end of Syracuse blowing out Wake, they put in the walk-ons, and this guy, Arthur Cordes, who's a multi-sport athlete, basketball and lacrosse, just decided to heave up a shot at the buzzer, and he drained it. And I was like, wow, that is the most electric we'll ever hear the Dome, was for a walk-on hitting a buzzer beater in garbage time. That was also the game.
You take the victors where you can get them,
That was also the game where, for some reason, Giannis and Thanasis Antetokounmpo were at the Syracuse game. That was weird. Adam Weitzman no longer involved in Syracuse athletics, and maybe they should let him back in. I don't know. Anyways, it was weird because the next week Pete Davidson came to the game. After he had crashed the city.
No.
But anyway, that's it for us today. Make sure to follow all of us on Twitter. Follow myself at Mathias_A_K. Follow Alex at the Sports Guy 242. Follow Splash at Mr. Splashman 19. Follow the LAR account at LAR_baseball. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Losses Above Replacement. Make sure to hit that like button. Leave a comment. Tell us why you agree or disagree. Maybe you just really, really don't like our top 5 lists. By the way, now all of them are uploaded, so you can click through and see all of our position rankings. We are coming up on opening day. So you're going to get some more season predictions coming up. I cannot wait to go ahead and do that. But yeah, make sure you follow us on Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. But for all of us at LAR, thank you all for listening. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all real soon. Take care.